When I was a kid in the 1970s, there was a TV show called Space 1999. Now, I remember watching this as a kid, but it kind of scared me as a kid, so I kind of shied away from it. I didn't really start appreciating it until the 1980s when I was a little bit older. And man, I loved it because they showed it in reruns. And I mean, this show only had 2 seasons, but you got to realize back in the day, they made shows that it was like 24 episodes and they were like an hour long. So there was a lot of content that you had to watch. And, you know, a season lasted a long time back then. And this show, it always kind of reminded me, it was like a mashup between Star Trek and Doctor Who. That's the best way I can describe it to anyone, because you have the crew that reminds me somewhat of the Enterprise, but then you also have that mysterious writing that the British do so well in sci-fi. And it just, like I said, reminds me so much of Doctor Who. Now, looking at it now, is it a little bit campy and corny at times? Absolutely. But recently, I found this series on YouTube, and I didn't even know they had it on YouTube. It actually showed up in my recommendations because I had been going back and watching old clips of Doctor Who from the Classic series. And that's just another video for another day. I'm so sad with the state of Doctor Who these days. But I digress. Back to Space 1999. I mean, I found this and I started binge watching it, and it took me about a week and a half to watch all the episodes. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, this show, it still holds up. The writing is superior to most things that are on TV nowadays. And basically, what this show is about is it's about a massive explosion that happens on the moon in one of their nuclear waste dumps. For some reason, they store nuclear waste on one of the craters in the moon. And for some reason, there's like a radioactive fault and it causes it to explode. And it's a chain reaction and it propels the moon out of Earth's orbit into deep space. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but it makes a lot of sense when you watch it. And the inhabitants of the moon base, you know, they're basically a scientific research facility located in one of the craters of the moon, and they're stranded and they're propelled into space. And the Alphans, as the crew's known, become unwilling travelers through space aboard their unlikely spaceship, the Earth's moon. Now, like I said, I know it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but man, it was gold the way they did it. And this was such a gem, and I was so glad that I found it and rewatched it because it reminded me so much of when I was a kid. And I don't know, there was just something special about it because it's great to relive the memories when you're a child, and things were so much better back then. And back to Space 1999, during their journey, the Alphans encounter civilizations and aliens and dystopian societies and mind-bending phenomenons that are, you know, the universe has to offer that's unseen by humanity. And they explore different themes in this: the survival, fate, the vastness of the universe, because these poor people on this base, they get bounced everywhere. There's one episode where they ended up on the other side of the universe, and basically all they're trying to do is either find their way back to home or try to find a planet that they can inhabit, especially before all their resources run out. And it's just, like I said, it's well written. It's a good show. And the first season of this, I mean, I think it's the far more superior season in this show because, man, there's so many good science fiction, you know, aspects of it. And it was the writing of it. I mean, the way they encounter the different aliens and they explore different vastness of the universe. And it's just, I don't know what it is, but there were some episodes in it that were just great. And I'll cover that in a minute. But when you got into season 2, it was a little bit different because for some reason, the show shifted, you know, narratives on it, and they focused more on action-oriented episodes, and it had a greater emphasis on the Alphan struggle to find a new home, which was like that in the first one, but I just think the first season was just better written. And I know some people love the second the second season, and I liked it too, but I still will think the first season's the best. And some of the key characters in this, Commander John Koenig, played by Martin Landau, I mean, man, he's brilliant in this. And Helena Russell, played by Barbara Bain. I mean, both of these actors, they were just brilliant in this show. And they lead this thing, and they lead the Alphans through all their adventures. And it's just, like I said, it's something special about it. And, some of the characters that were in season 1, they didn't quite transfer over to season 2. And that always kind of confused me as a kid because they never quite told whatever happened to Professor Bergman or what happened to Paul or Kano, because when the second season started, they were just gone. Now, on the bright side, we did get introduced to Maya, who was basically an alien that they picked up along the way, and she was like a shapeshifter, and she was gorgeous too, by the way. But anyway, this show, like I said, it was well written, and some of the episodes in this, they were just, I don't know, man. I mean, the way they did this back then, a couple of their episodes that I'll just name off the top of my head that were just great was Breakaway, and that was basically their first episode, and it just kind of explains how they break away from Earth's orbit. Then you had another one, it was called Last Sunset, and basically they come in orbit around the planet, and they have aliens that try to assist them, but they're propelled out of that solar system, and they watch their sunset for the last time, and it was just well written. And then you had Voyager's Return, and this one kind of surprised me when I got a little older, because I always knew about the Voyager space probes that we sent up in the 70s, but when you look back on this show was way ahead of its time, because they wrote this show before we even launched these probes. And if you watch this episode, to me, it's sort of like Star Trek, the motion picture, kind of took ideas from this episode, because what happens is they encounter the Voyage space probe, and, I don't want to give it away if you've never seen it, but like I said, it kind of reminds me of Star Trek, the motion picture. And then one of the craziest episodes that I remembered as a kid is Dragon's Domain. In this episode, it's considered one of the most scariest and most memorable of the series. I remember my friend at school had a lunchbox with the alien from this episode on it, and I just remember thinking to myself, I mean, that was just that was a weird episode, because basically there's a creature there that's in a space there's a bunch of spaceships that are stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and they investigate it, and this creature shows up, and it kind of hypnotizes you and sucks you in, and it just spits out your remains in sort of like a charred husk. And I don't know, as a kid, man, that was just kind of crazy. But I don't know, man, like I said, this show here, it was a gem. If you've never watched it, I would highly recommend you see it. Anyway, let me know what you think about Space 1999. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this kind of content. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, because I've been kind of bagging on Hollywood, and I needed something as a palate cleanser, and I'm so glad I came across this. If you've never seen it, like I said, check it out. You're going to like it. I hope you enjoyed this retro blast from the past. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.